On Hank's vegetable farm. Your Uncle Hank's vegetable farm. And you know, for those of you, most of you probably know that vegetable farming is heck. It is hot in the summer, it's cold in the winter, it's dirty, and it doesn't pay well. But if you want to know your cousins, it's perfect. I will always be thankful for the opportunity I had to, work with my cousins and to know who they were as people, and to get together about 45 years later and enjoy a celebration with them, celebrating the life of their parents. So we had a few times. A lot of memories are gone. I do remember, and there were occasions when vegetables were thrown.
Nobody was ever hit, Randy.
I do remember too that Randy had a good arm.
Dave.
Before Randy was able to work at Uncle Hank's because of age, I was the catcher. And the catcher, they pick the melon, they throw the melon, and you catch the melon. It sounds pretty simple, and you put it in the basket. And you do that repetitively all the time. Every once in a while, there is one melon that's rotten. And the pickers are supposed to leave the rotten ones in the field. But sometimes the pickers will pick a rotten one, and one picker will throw one right at you, and you catch that one, and you put that in the thing, and then one time another picker threw one, lobbed it right into me, and it was spinning, and it was right here. And Dave says, "Don't catch it, Dave, don't catch it!" I was covered with
We remember that story in a similar way.
What's your version of that story?
Well, as the melon was spinning, it was leaking juice. A nice spiral. And even I had a soul. That was the only thing I'd add.
Picking corn in the morning and throwing them in bags, and there's just, going to the restroom and locking somebody in the restroom and then flooding the restroom out, or when you'd open the door up, there'd be 10 guys standing out there with tomatoes, and they would just nail and nail down. There's just too many stories to tell. But the one story that I want to tell is a story that we had this little boat. It was about 10-foot John boat. We had about a 5-horse motor on the end of it. And Dave and myself and one of my brothers. Danny, was it you? So we're out there driving along, and I said to Dave, would you like to drive or something like that? And so Dave says, yeah, I'd like to drive. And so, excuse me, he's driving along, and all of a sudden he makes a hard turn. And it turned so hard that he flipped the boat over. Maybe you didn't know about that, Dad, but...
So I was like 14?
I remember I was really kind of shocked, and I'm swimming around. Is everybody okay? Is everybody okay? And I looked at either Dave or Dan, and they're standing up. The water was only about this deep. I'm out there like a Boy Scout, treading water. So, we had a lot of good times.
One I liked the most was the execution by tomato. Execution by tomato. So, on the side of the barn at Uncle Hank's farm was an outhouse. It was and I think it would normally stay open, so they had put a latch that would close from the inside and the outside. Remember that? And so you'd open it up, you'd go in, you'd close it, you'd do your thing, and then you'd come back out. Well, somebody went in there, and all the it was Dan. Somebody went in there, and all the brothers grabbed an armload of tomatoes, and we lined up in execution style. Somebody snuck up, they opened up the door, and they opened it all the way up, and Dan was sitting. They go, ready, aim, fire, and Dan puts his hands in his like, he wasn't done yet, so. Well, we just started throwing the tomatoes in there, and execution by tomatoes. I think that was Dan.
But Randy, we need to let it, there's been a lot of controversy about your first day of work.
No.
And the word rite of passage came to, was mentioned. There's some other people that don't remember what you're talking about.
Oh, right.
So I think we need to have a little bit of a debate on that, and perhaps we need to take a vote on what really happened. Nobody really meant to kill you that day. So why don't you tell your version of the story, and then I'll tell the truth.
Well, the truth is, Mike is not going to tell the truth.
So you can tell your version now.
My first day at work at Uncle Hank's, I think it was my first day, we were picking acorn squash. And you guys know how hard and solid and dense acorn squash are. Kind of like a lethal weapon, size of a cannonball, that kind of thing. And the way you do it, we had 3 pickers. We had my loving cousin Dave, my loving brother Mike, and my loving brother Dan. And of course, this was my first day of working. I was in 5th grade. It was after school. It was in the fall of the year when we were harvesting. And you would slide a big stack of bushel baskets behind you, and you pulled it with you. You pulled one out, you set it down, and those that loved me would gently toss the acorn squash to me, and you'd put it in the basket so you wouldn't bruise the fruit. This is what would happen. That was the technique they taught me. And as they were one by one throwing the fruit to me, it was working very well. I pulled the next basket out, and all of a sudden they stopped throwing acorn squash, but they looked like they were picking. They were all down, cutting with the clippers, the acorn squash. And the next thing I knew, they all turned around with an armload of acorn squash. And one went real high. Well, for a 5th grader, I'm not going to let him down. I just thought maybe they let one loose real high. So I'm up here looking at it like this, and all of a sudden, all 3 of them, those that I thought loved me, those that were supposed to protect me on my first day of work, started to lowball as fast as they could, and it pelted me with all these acorn squash. I went over, I went down, and I was seeing stars, and I was out. And my uncle came out in his Studebaker, and he drove up and he says, "Boys, take it easy. It's his first day of work." That's the truth.
Now, wait. Before Randy came to work, Uncle Hank said, "Guys, we have to have an executive production meeting." So we sat down with Uncle Hank, and he had his chalkboard out, and he was going through it. And he says, "Guys, we need to increase productivity." So we thought, well, we bring Randy on. But we told Randy well in advance that he's going to have to be able to handle 3 pickers at one time. And Randy said, "That's not a problem." We told him to wear a helmet. We told him to wear a helmet. We told him.
Lies, all lies.
No, he didn't listen to us. That's my version.
We went out to pick an eggplant.
Those are mean.
I don't even know what eggplant are. I didn't know what they were. And Randy threw the first few real nice. And then he threw 2 real quick, but they were from the other end. And they got the stickers on it. And I went.
Oh, wow.
And I was in trouble.
Randy went.
carried on the tradition.
He really did.
Uncle Hank, I think, was planting cabbage, and he had the other 3 or 4 guys out in the field mowing over there. And so I was on that 1-row planter. I called it the arm planter because you got your hand too low, it planted your arm. And I was planting cabbage, I was doing it, and I think Chuck Taylor was up the upper field up there, and he was lobbing dirt claws, and they would hit the water tank and hit me and everything, and they never could get quite good throw back at him or that. And one time Uncle Hank slowed down for some odd reason. I don't know what he slowed down for, and I thought, oh, here's my chance. So I went ahead and lobbed one. I thought I had a good throw. It went a little low and hit Uncle Hank. He did not say a word to me, but I knew he wasn't happy.
On the road to the baseball game, but before I left, I said, I don't want to hear any stories about you boys throwing strawberries at each other. I don't want you to come home with your shirts full of strawberries, because I know that's what you're doing. Uncle Hank's not going to have you very long if you keep doing that. So, okay, Mom. And so we kept going to our baseball game. We came home one day and it smelled like bleach, something terrible in our. The shirts were white. I thought, well, I don't know what that is. I kind of forgot about it. The next time I washed those shirts, they just went all to pieces.
You would use your shirt as a row marker. So you'd pick 6 quart of strawberries or 12, whatever you were picking, and then you'd use your white t-shirt as a row marker. And sometimes when you got back, you'd get tickets. Remember the tickets? You'd get tickets and you'd stick them in your pocket, and you'd come back, you'd get 6 more fresh, empty berry boxes. You'd come back to your row marker so you wouldn't forget where you're at. You'd lift up your shirt. It was dripping strawberry juice. And it was just full of something. It was really bad. My brother Mike, I came back to my row marker, my white shirt, and we were warned by Mom never to get in those strawberry fights or have any stains on your shirt ever again. Mike was picking next to me.
Remember the story that way.
I do have to use some fillers, you know. But my shirt was dripping strawberry juice all over. It was totally destroyed. It was red. So then it was his turn to take his 6 boxes in there. And he used his row marker too. So his shirt ended up looking like mine. And I don't know if we got kicked out or what, but we were we ran in and we bleached the shirts. And I remember you laughing.
It was.
I thought, we are so dead. We are so dead. And I just remember you pulling out those shirts and you laughed.
They were.
Noon, it had to be 95 degrees. We're all hot, sweaty. It was humid out. Joe Vemberlo comes by in one of those big township trucks, you know, big dump truck, you know, and he's in it, he's got his passenger window open and he yells out there, and what did he say? He said, picking tomatoes, boys, or is it hot out there, boys, or something, and of course all of us, you know, grabbed some tomatoes and started to lob them at him. One of those tomatoes went through that window. Somebody had a pretty good arm in it. He had his window down about like that, went through that window, hit the steering wheel right in the center and exploded all over that truck. Tomato juice, tomato guts everywhere. And he's cranking it and trying to get it in gear and drive out of there. He was so mad. Surprisingly. I couldn't figure it. No, go figure.
He didn't come by anymore.
Joel and
That's a tomato thing?
They were very good workers, and they provided a little sense of maturity. an instigator sometimes, but people was pretty steady on being responsible.
But there was, if he was even thinking, he wouldn't have done that. You know, there was only one response to a comment like that.
You're right, I wasn't thinking.